suppose we have to find out the cost of goods sold, because after deducting, in order to write the vertical profit and loss, we have to first write the sales. Then by bifurcating sales into cash and credit sale, we have to deduct the returns and allowances. Then we get a net sale. When we get a net sale, we have to deduct this cost of goods sold, because cost of goods sold, after deducting this cost of goods sold, we are going to get this gross profit or gross margin. Okay. So first, how we are going to get this the cost of goods sold? This cost of goods sold involves many items. Okay, that is of trading account. Okay, so cost of goods sold are arrived. First, we start with the opening stock of raw material. Then we have to add the purchase of raw material. Then we have to deduct the closing stock of raw material. So we get a raw material consumed. Then less direct expenses. So what are these direct expenses? Direct expenses. What are these direct expenses? Don't write your names. I can see your names when they appear in a type. Okay. So here I can know at what name you are here or attending the meeting. So don't write in a chat box. Okay. So just write when you join the meeting. That time only you have to write your proper name. If you know your roll number, then it is very good, and you can join the meeting. So I will come to know who is joining the meeting. Okay. So then we have to deduct this then we are going to get the raw material consumed. Then we have to deduct the direct expenses. Direct expenses are the factory expenses. Okay, factory expenses which we found at a debit side of trading account. So here that may be the carriage inward, factory powers, wages, other factory expenses, depreciation on machinery, factory depreciation, or patterns depreciation. So all these things comes under this direct expenses title. Carriage inward means the freight which we are paid to bring the raw material from supplier to our godown. Okay. So factory power means the machine which we run are used a power, because they require a more what we say electricity. That's why it is known as a power in accounting. So factory power means the electricity which we require for running the machines in a factory. So it is a factory power. Then the wages which we pay to the laborers. Other factory expenses are, there may be any kind of factory expenses which are not come under these heads, like carriage inward, factory power, wages, depreciation. So any other factory expenses are there. For example, the factory lighting or the factory telephone expenses. So all these expenses comes under factory printing stationery. If any storage is there, then that time other we have to put these all things in a, so we have to put these all things in a other factory expenses head. Then the depreciation, all depreciation, that may be depreciation on machinery, depreciation on factory building, depreciation on pattern items, all these comes under this direct expenses head. Then we have to total these. Then after we have to add the opening stock of finished goods. In this case here, we added the opening stock of raw material and purchases of raw material, closing stock of raw material, right? So here, Arjun, what do you want to speak? Arjun?
Nothing, ma'am. It चुकून झालं, ma'am.
Okay,
चुकून झालं, sorry.
okay. Then after, what we see here, that it is the opening stock of raw material. But in this case, here we have to add the opening stock of finished goods, then purchases of finished goods, then closing stock of finished goods. So all these finished goods related opening stock purchase going to add here, and closing stock is going to deduct here. Then we are going to get at last the cost of goods sold, right? So cost of goods sold, to arrive the cost of goods sold figure, we have to do all We have to add or less all these things. What? Opening stock of raw material, purchases of raw material, closing stock, then direct expenses we have to add. Then we have to add the opening stock of finished goods, purchases of finished goods, and at last we have to get the closing stock of finished goods. Then only we are going to get this cost of goods sold. So by deducting this cost of goods sold from a net sale amount, from a net sorry, from a net sale amount, what the figure arrives, we are going to get gross profit or gross margin. Okay. So after getting this gross profit, then we move to profit and loss account. All up to this gross profit or gross margin amount, all the items are related with trading account, debit side or the credit side may be there, but all these items from start of our particular profit and loss account up to gross profit, all these items relates with the trading account. But after that, after getting this profit, gross profit, we are going to move to profit and loss items. So while considering the profit and loss items debit side, first we start with the administration expenses. So three types of expenses are there: administration expenses, selling distribution expenses, finance expenses. So profit and loss debit side items or debit side expenses are classified in three types of expenses. First one is office, or it may be called as administration expenses, then selling distribution expenses, and then finance expenses. So whatever the expenses are debited to profit and loss account are classified in these three types of expenses. Okay. Then what types of items or what types of expenses come under the administration expenses? I told that it is the office expenses also. So office or administration expenses are, for example, office expenses, office rent, rate, taxes, insurance, office electricity, printing stationery, audit fee, repairs and office expenses, director fees, depreciation on office assets, postage and telegram. So all these expenses which relates to office and administration are entered under this head, office and administration expenses. Okay. Then after, next expenditure is selling and distribution expenses. In case of selling and distribution expenses, there are many items comes under this head. But for example, we can say that the salaries to salesmen, rent of shop, showroom, exhibition, trade fair, sales discounts, commission, normal bad debts, depreciation on delivery line, advertisement and publicity, traveling or van expenses. So all these expenses are related to selling and distribution expenses. Selling means actually selling the product to the customer. Okay. And distribution means after selling that product, the delivery is done. So the delivery charges are the distribution expense. Or maybe suppose there you are the wholesaler and you provide you are the distributor, and after receiving the what you say after receiving the product delivery to deliver to all customers, there may be some delivery charges. That may be their van expenditure, van petrol charges, or maybe what you say van or it may be courier charges, movers and packers charges. So all these expenditures comes under the distribution expenses. So selling and distribution expenses are comes together, and we have to write here all those related expenditures. And normal bad debts are also forming part here, because bad debts, when arise the bad debts, then there are the debtors. So after selling the product, if it is sold on a credit basis, then there is a debtors. So company has debtors when the company sold that product on credit basis. So after selling that product on credit basis, debtor may not pay the whole money. That time, the normal bad debts arise. So normal bad debts means which are normally expected for a business to arise. But if there are much more bad debts, that means any one of customer had not paid any money at all, then that time that abnormal bad debts are comes under this head. It is here, here. Finance charges, abnormal bad debts. So The normal bad debts are forming part of selling and distribution expenses, and abnormal bad debt, that means that the business cannot expect this much bad debts. That time it is become an abnormal bad debt. So bad debts amounts may change to or may vary from business to business, concern to concern, company to company. It depends upon its turnover or sales. So abnormal bad debts are related one. We cannot say that 10,000 is abnormal, because if there is a company with a huge turnover in a crores of rupees, then it may be 10,000 may be the normal bad debts to them. So it is a relative term. So if it is written in your profit and loss account that it is a normal bad debt, then you have to put that amount here under the selling and distribution expenses. Or if it is stated only bad debts, then you have to state here only selling and distribution expenses. Under this head you have to put that. And if it is stated abnormal bad debts, then you have to write here under the finance charges or expenses head. Okay. Then all these things we have already discussed. So up to last lecture. So finance charges are also discussed. What the cash discount? Suppose if we sold the product on cash basis, and if the customer is ready to pay, what do you say, whole amount, and it may be given if the customer is purchasing more than the normal quantity. That means if he is purchasing the 10 units or 20 units at a time, then that time we may offer, or he may demand us the cash discount. That time, in order to increase our sale, we may give them a cash discount. So that discount comes under this finance expenses. Then the bank charges. Bank go for charging for its services. So those service charges are comes under this the finance charges or finance expenses head. Then abnormal bad debts already discussed. So all these three expenditures comes under the finance charges. So total finance charges or expenses are totaled, and after totaling these three expenses, administration, selling, distribution, and finance charges, we are going to get a total operating expense. So we have to deduct this total operating expenses from gross profit. From this gross profit. So gross profit, whatever we get here in third column, we have to deduct these operating expenses from this gross profit, and we get a operating profit before interest. So operating profit before interest, that means the interest is not deducted from it. So this is a profit before interest. So we have to deduct now the interest paid by the company on debentures, or maybe on bonds, or maybe on loan, or maybe on public deposits, or on short-term loans. So all types of interest paid by the company are totaled here, and this total interest paid is deducted from the operating profit before interest, and we will get a operating profit after interest. So after getting this operating profit after interest, we have to add the non-operating interest. So first we have to know what is the operating profit, or what is the operating income, what is the operating expense. The expenditure incurred by the company in a normal day-to-day business. To run the business, company incurred these expenses. For example, we already seen that the office and administration expenses, selling and distribution expenses. Okay, then सगळ्यांना आवाज येतो ना माझा? आवाज येतो? हॅलो, ब्रेक होतो?
व्हॉइस ब्रेक होते मॅडम.
अच्छा,
हो मिस, आवाज येतोय पण मध्ये मध्ये ब्रेक होतोय.
ब्रेक होतो. आता येतो का? आता नॉर्मल यायला लागला? आता येतो की नाही? आता तुम्हाला
मी स्टार्टिंगला बोलतात तेवढे येतोय, एंडिंगला मग ते गायबच होतं.
ब्रेक होतं.
ब्रेक होतो. हॅलो, ओके ओके.
हो, ब्रेक होतो.
आता मी बोलते ते पण ऐकू येत नाहीये? आता बोलते ते येतं ऐकू?
हा येतोय. येतोय पण मध्ये मध्ये खरखरतोय आवाज.
क्लिअर आवाज येतो तुम्हाला ऐकू की नाही?
क्लिअर एवढं
क्लिअर नाही येत.
क्लिअर नाही येते मॅम.
मध्ये
मे बी नेटवर्क इश्यू असेल, कारण मला पण तुमचा आवाज ऐकू येताना ना असं ब्रेक ब्रेक होणार असेल.
हा मॅम, सेम
तुमचा पण
ब्रेक ब्रेक होतोय मध्ये
ब्रेक ब्रेक ब्रेक. आता तुम्ही बोलत तरी सुद्धा तो ब्रेक झाल्यासारखं वाटतं. बाकीचा नाही तसं ऐकू बघा, येतो का? तर मे बी नेटवर्क इश्यू असेल. पण तुम्हाला समजते ना आता काय मी सांगितलं तेवढं तुम्हाला, म्हणजे आलं का? थोडं तरी ऐकू आलं की नाही? काय नाही काय? हा?
मॅम अर्ध ऐकायला आलेलं आहे, हाफ आलेलं आहे ऐकायला मॅम.
ओके ओके. सगळ्यांचा आम्हाला आवाज असा
त्यापेक्षा
खरखर येतो.
पूर्ण
तुम्हाला पण आवाज येतो का खरखर?
Yes.
Non-operating income or non-operating expenditure means the income or expenditure which is incurred or spent by a business in a not a normal course of business. Because to earn the interest or to earn the dividend, it is not my business. If suppose I provide some services, then computer service, giving the computer services to selling the computers is my business. Not to earn the dividend, not to earn the interest is my business. So if I get some profit on sale of my assets, then it is the non-operating income to me. If I get any what is the compensation, then it is also the non-operating income. If I get any royalty or the copyright amounts, then it is not my operating income. So we have to put all those things in under non-operating income here. So here also given way, the non-operating income is the dividend on share, interest on debenture loan, profit on sale of fixed assets or investments, damages received, royalty or share transfer fees. So all these are the non-operating income, and we have to put here. If you find any of these item in a profit and loss account, then you have to write here under this non-operating income head. Then we have to deduct the non-operating expenses. So non-operating expenses, Harshad, what is the problem? Harshad Malikar, you raised the hand. So tell me whether you want to speak or not. So non-operating expenses. Non-operating expenses are also the expenses which are done by the business firm, not in a normal course of business, but due to some abnormal thing like the loss on sale of fixed assets, damages paid, or the compensation given, or the preliminary expenses written off, fines or penalties paid to government or maybe to any agency. So all these expenditure, we are not going to incur all these expenditure in a normal course of business, because fine and penalty, it is abnormal. We are not, company is not paying all the time fines or all the time penalties. Company is also not going to get all the time loss on sale of fixed assets or the damages. So all these things are the abnormal ones. So these abnormal expenditures or the expenditures which are not incurred in a normal course of business are all put here under this non-operating expenditure head. Okay, because those are the non-operating expenditures. So after adding this non-operating income and deducting this non-operating expenditure, we in a vertical profit and loss going to get the net profit before tax. Then now we have to deduct the tax. After deducting this tax, we are going to get the net profit after tax. Then it is the time to add any opening balance profit and loss is there. Opening profit and loss balance is there. Then we have to add here, and at the end, less appropriations. If any appropriations are given in your profit and loss account, like the transfer to sinking fund, dividend paid, interim dividend paid, or the transfer to reserves or transfer to fund. So all those things, plus transfer to general fund, general reserve. So all those transfers and dividends paid are going to form a part under appropriation head. And after deducting these appropriations, at the end, we are going to get a retained earning. So retained earning, the name itself tells that these are the retained ones, that these are the available to owners, these are the available funds to shareholders. So these retained earnings, we at the end going to get from what we say, by solving this profit and loss in a vertical form. So this is the vertical profit and loss account, or this is the profit and loss statement in a vertical form. And in a management account, we have to put all the items of trading profit and loss which are given in your problem in a horizontal format. We have to convert that in a vertical format. That's why you have to learn this format, or you have to write this format. I already in a Google Classroom given you this material, and also I assigned you one work that you have to write this format in a vertical form, which vertical profit and loss format and vertical balance sheet. So already we done with the vertical balance sheet also, and today we done with the vertical profit and loss statement. So both statement you have to write in your notebook, and you have to learn this format. Okay. So any doubt in this session in your vertical profit and loss, or maybe in your balance sheet? If any doubt is there, you may ask me, because only 1.5 minutes is there. Anyone has doubt? Any doubt?
No, ma'am. All is clear.
Okay, very good, very good. You may
No,
put
ma'am,
this
no
in
doubt.
your chat box. Okay. If anyone has doubt, you may put in your chat box. If anyone has, but you have to write this format in your notebook, okay? Because all the time we have to use this format while we solving the problem. That's why you have to learn this format. You may okay. Anyone has any doubt? Is anyone there? सो ठीक आहे. बाकीच्या ज्यांनी ऍडमिशन घेतले नाही त्यांनी ऍडमिशन घ्या. काही डाऊट असतील तर मला चॅटबॉक्स मध्ये विचारा. रेज ओके. आम्ही काय बोलायचंय? ओनली 1 मिनिट इज लेस दॅन 1. आम्ही काही बोलायचं असेल तर बोलू शकता. आम्ही जवळ आहे. एनी डाऊट चॅट बॉक्स मध्ये टाका. नो प्रॉब्लेम. ओके चलो. नंतर मला विचारा काही डाऊट असेल तर. आता आपलं सेक्शन संपलं आहे. सो बाय, गुड नाईट. आणि लिहून काढा तो फॉर्मॅट. हा सगळ्यांनी लिहायचं आहे कंपल्सरी. सबमिट करा मला गुगलला.